What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Roden, and today we are doing the top 15 plus one honorable mention, so 16 total underrated rally monsters. Now, this is not only Group B rally, it's not only Group A rally, it's just random underrated rally cars that I found. Recently, I've been getting in love with all these underrated cars. I've been making a lot of videos on them. You guys seem to love them, so I've decided to do a couple like top 10s on different ones. And I was gonna do just a top 10 on the rally cars, but then I found like 5 more that I really wanted to include, so I was just like, you know what, I'll do a top 15. So here are 15 incredibly underrated rally cars. If you guys want to support the channel any more than you already are, head on over to www.smoothstance.com/shop to pick yourself up a hat, a shirt, or some shorts. And with all that out of the way, let's get right into the video with number 15. Okie dokie, so coming in at last place, but still a very good rally car either way, is the Mini Cooper. Yes, we are talking about the old Mini Cooper here, by the way, and it may come as a surprise to you, but these things were actually pretty freaking good at rally racing, okay? It comes with a 1-liter inline 4, yes, only 1 liter, making only 76 horsepower, and it was front wheel drive. And now obviously that's not great at all, but the car was so light that if you are strong enough, you could literally put this car on its side. I've seen it happen before. It's pretty impressive. And rally racing is not about straight line speed anyway. It's about being nimble and fast through corners and being able to rip it. So it absolutely worked wonders on grassroots rally courses everywhere. This is not a like Group B car or anything like that. It's literally like it's almost like, you know, when you get into drifting, it's like a 350Z. It's like an entry-level car. Next up, though, is a little bit different, okay? I'll be the first to admit it. It is the IMSA Pontiac Fiero. What? I know, it's hard to believe, but the Fiero was an actually pretty good rally car. This is what I mean. There are some weird rally cars out there. The Fiero, in case you don't know, comes with a 2.8-liter V6, but this one has been modified so it makes 300 horsepower, and it was rear-wheel drive and mid-engined. And now the stock Fiero does not do that, by the way. It's not anywhere close to that, but the IMSA one was heavily modified to handle that much power, and it kind of makes sense when you think about it. The car's got a very short wheelbase, it's very good power, and incredibly lightweight, which makes for a very good rally platform. But either way, in practice, it just doesn't work. I just look at it and I'm like, that is weird. And it actually didn't really work that well either, by the way. It didn't really win a lot of races. It wasn't that good of a rally car, but it's just so weird, I just had to put it here. Next up is a car that is so bizarre, that's a bar, that you will not believe it even exists in the freaking first place. It is the Rolls-Royce Corniche. As we all know, Rolls-Royce makes some very comfortable luxury cars that are very heavy for like mafia bosses everywhere, but they're usually like 5 million pounds and not fast at all. But a small man by the name of Christian Dior, ever heard of him? Yeah, that Dior, you know, all the rappers, Dior. Yeah, that guy. He's a freaking fashion designer that makes incredibly expensive clothes. Well, he decided to fund this project to turn a Rolls-Royce into a rally car. And somehow, people were like, yeah, all right, we'll do it. And they pulled it off by putting a Chevy small block V8 into it. And it was an actually pretty decent rally car. It wasn't better than the competition that much, but it was good. It did good. And I'm like, that blows me away. Next up is a car that literally everybody sleeps on for anything but drifting. It is the Toyota AE86. People need to wake up and realize that the AE86 platform is more than just a drift car. It is a freaking race car, and it loves to go off-road for some reason. It makes zero sense to me, but it does. The reason why that is not because of the incredibly underpowered motor, but the fact that, once again, it's just so light and balanced. That's the key in these rally cars, is they need to be planted in lightweight so they respond to corners and bumps very well, and the AE86 does that greatly. On top of that, an AE86 has a short wheelbase. You need a short wheelbase. It's rear-wheel drive, which might be a little bit questionable, but there's been plenty of successful rear-wheel drive rally cars over the years. That doesn't bother everybody else. So before you start modifying your AE86 to go drifting like everybody else with an AE86 does, maybe try lifting it and bringing it off-road. You might have fun. Next up is a rally car that I'm sure that you've actually probably seen before, but for some reason we always just glance just directly over it. It is the MG Metro 6R4, a car that was purposely built to be a rally legend. It was a normal MG, but they turned it into an incredibly aggressive Group B rally car, kind of like the Audi Sport Quattro. But sadly, due to Subaru and Audi's just absolute reign of terror, those guys were freaking clapping cheeks left and right. All the other Group B cars were just completely thrown out the window and nobody talks about them anymore. And this is the first one of many on this list that we will be seeing. It came with a 3-liter V6, making a huge 400 horsepower. But the cool part about that is it was the only non-turbocharged car from Group B, which is pretty nuts. Like every other Group B rally car was turboed. Not the MG Metro 6R4 though. Number 10 is another car kind of like the A86 in the way that everybody thinks that it just has to be a track car. It has to be a handling monster when it absolutely does not. It is the BMW M3 E30. The E30 M3 was a purpose-built race car when it came out, and people always think that just because a car succeeds on tarmac that it can't on all terrains. Come on, man. We are in 2022. Be smarter than that. The car comes with a 2.3-liter inline-4, making 197 horsepower, and it was rear-wheel drive. And once again, incredibly lightweight and incredibly planted. It succeeded incredibly well in track racing and rally racing. It was no exception. It just takes a nut job to actually take a car as beautiful as an M3 rally racing. But once you do, you can win, buddy, because these things are freaking go, go, go. BMW is amazing at building some race cars, so why would you think that they're not good off-road? Next up is yet another Group B car that was just outshadowed by the absolute legends that destroyed the competition. The Toyota Celica TA 64. Such an amazing Toyota that is just commonly forgotten about all the freaking time now. Its major downside is it wasn't all-wheel drive, and since Subaru and Audi were all-wheel drive, they could just dominate anybody that wasn't, so the rest just fell completely flat on their face. Never stood a chance in the first place. But it makes no sense because this thing has 370 horses romping around under the hood like a freaking kids parade, I don't know. And it was rear-wheel drive, and absolutely handling god that people just don't care about anymore. Group B cars are insanely fast and the best of the best when it comes to rally racing. So please, for the love of God, don't think that there's only 2 Group B rally cars that are great out there. The next car is a car that quite literally makes 0 sense to me why it's not more popular in the rally world. It is the Audi S4 B6, which is literally built by the brand who built the Sports Quattro, which is arguably the most popular rally car of all time, period. And people like just don't rally their S4s. They take their S4s and put freaking some full bolt-ons on them and try racing like SRT4s on the highway. This one comes with a 4.2-liter V8, making a massive 340 horsepower, and it was all-wheel drive, and that is stock, you guys, okay? Like, you could easily get that horsepower number up a little bit if you want to, but by all means, if you want to keep it at 340, I think you'll be all right with that too. The major problem that these cars have is the weight. They are very heavy cars for rally racing with a very long wheelbase, but they also have an incredible motor and the world's best all-wheel drive system in the world, so I think it balances it out. The next car is another Group B rally car that I guarantee you didn't know was even in Group B rally. It is the Mazda RX-7 FB. Yes, that's right, buddy. Mazda put their rotary-powered RX-7 through the tests in Group B, and it didn't perform well compared to the competition at all, but it was still a success in my eyes, okay, Mazda? So thank you for doing that, because to me, it won everything. It won my heart. The demise of this one is actually very sad. Mazda pretty much didn't even want the RX-7 to be the rally car, and instead they put all of their funding towards the 323 GTR, which just made the RX-7 not have enough money and research to compete with the higher-ups, which sucks because it had all the characteristics to be great. It was a high-revving motor, it was incredibly lightweight, a very planted chassis, a very short wheelbase. It was rear-wheel drive, sure, but it could have done something great, but unfortunately Mazda cared more about the 323 GTR when rally racing. So everybody knows that Porsche is just an absolutely incredible brand when it comes to their racing heritage. They are one of the best driver cars out there, most people say, and with a title like that, it's obvious that they knew how to make a car perform incredibly well, and they proved that with the 959 in rally racing. Yes, sir. All right, Porsche. There was a Porsche in rally racing. It was Porsche's first ever all-wheel drive car, and it looked kind of funny because it had huge tires on a very small Porsche, but it worked really well. The first year that it was launched, it took home first and second in the Paris-Dakar rally. That's pretty good. You get both first and second. That's like something that happened in Ford GTs. Okay, plus, bro, just look how cool this car looks. It is a 959, but lifted with some meaty boy tires on it. Number 5, buddy, we are here, and it is the Citroen BX 4TC, a car that was so unloved by Citroen that it absolutely causes me physical pain. Literally only 60 of these cars were ever made, and what happened was they set their expectations way too high, and they didn't have enough time, money, and resources to build what they truly wanted to build. So they set the car off in Group B without even being finished yet. And when it did that, the very first race that it competed in, it broke down and couldn't even complete the race. And Citroen, instead of being like, oh man, we made a mistake, let's go back and like finish our car and then try racing it in the next race, nope, they just marked it up as a failure and asked the owners to crush their cars. Yeah, the 60 people that bought it, they were so disappointed in it that they were like, please crush it so it never has to be a thing anymore. They literally just gave up on this car after one mistake that happens. They never went back to the drawing board, never tried to make it any better. Citroen, you killed this car, okay? That's your fault. Number 4 has to go to the Nissan 240 RS. This was one of the very first Silvias, by the way, in case you were wondering. Just wanted to put it out there, and it was a freaking rally car. I know it's weird hearing that a car that's literally always seen drifting nowadays used to go off-road, but it did, and it did it pretty well too. The main problem is it was just the same as all these other Group B cars, you know. It wasn't all-wheel drive, so it just couldn't compete with Audi or Subaru, and that sucks. That is so horrible. But this is the only Group B car that the legendary Colin McRae actually raced in, which is pretty cool to me. In case you don't know, like, Colin McRae didn't race in Group B rally racing. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but he didn't. And the only Group B car that he actually did race in was this car, the Nissan 240 RS, and it was the first Silvia, and it was going off-road all the time. That's pretty cool. 3rd place, bronze medal, yes sir, it has to be the Ford RS 1700T, which was yet again another incredibly slept on Group B car. Once again, just like every other car we've gone over in this list, its major downfall was the fact that it was indeed rear-wheel drive. Ford instead decided to put efforts into making the RS 200 that we all know and love today, so they can compete with the Audi Destruction. And while I'm not saying that was a bad idea at all, the RS 200 is an absolutely amazing car, and I'm super happy that they did spend all the time making that car. This one was still very sick, okay, and it definitely did not get enough time to shine. It was incredibly light since it just had an inline 4 under the hood that made over 300 horsepower, which if that doesn't scream potential in rally racing, I don't know what does. Like, every time we go over a successful rally car, what are the things you look for? Lightweight, short wheelbase, low to the ground. That can still go over bumps though. And that's what this car was. It could have done great things. 2nd place, however, is a car that has the biggest case of older sibling syndrome, meaning that it had a brother that completely outshined it and took the spotlight from it in absolutely every way possible. It is the Subaru Legacy RS. It was one of Colin McRae's cars that he drove and loved, and this is a car that literally put him on the map too. Like, this is a car that made Colin McRae popular. It was not in Group B rally, but it was actually in Group A rally. It was incredibly good at it too. While Mitsubishi turned their Lancer into a rally car and just kind of absolutely wiped them, that's when Subaru made their Impreza WRX, and the rest is history. But before that, man, the Legacy RS was just dominating, was clapping cheeks, and like everybody's all like, oh yeah, the WRX is cool. The Legacy was even cooler, man. It really sucks because obviously, yes, the Impreza platforms are better, but this thing had an absolute hold on the Group A rally racing for years thanks to Colin McRae. The honorable mention for today is the Toyota 222D, a car that honestly performed horribly and did not win many races at all, but I just think it's just so cool to look at, so I needed to include it in the video. Pretty much, Toyota took an MR2 platform and they made it rally racing ready. That's pretty much the whole story behind it. It kind of reminds me of the Fiero in a way, because they're both mid-engined, but the problem was they didn't deal with the snap oversteer, which made it damn near impossible to rip around dirt roads when you're letting off the gas every time you're going around a corner, and so it just failed horribly. But gold medal for the most underrated rally car ever to exist is the Ferrari 308 GTB, which I obviously put here mainly because I think it's just freaking awesome to see a Ferrari in rally racing. But it also was a pretty amazing car. It scored multiple outright wins in its hometown of Italy and would consistently get podium finishes as well. I mean, obviously if Ferrari puts their foot in the door in any sort of racing, they're going to do well, but who thought that they could turn a supercar into a rally monster? Not this guy, okay? Not me. I guarantee you didn't either. Don't say that you thought they could do it. it because you're lying. Now, the sad downfall with these cars, however, is Ferrari just literally did not care about it. They never wanted to beat the Sport Quattro. They just wanted to build a Ferrari rally car to say that they can. And after they took home a couple of dubs, they put all their money right back into building the perfect road car rather than worrying a little bit about their rally racing and trying to beat that Sport Quattro. If they did that, there's a good chance that this car would have done it because it was performing well, very well, and it's Ferrari. Okay, and they know how to make a freaking race car. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more. The next like underrated top 10 video is going to be on drift cars, underrated drift cars. But let me know what other like underrated car like ideas you'd like to see, and I'll make top 10 lists on those too. Also, let me know what other like deep dives you'd like to see. Obviously, good, bad, and uglies, tier lists, rodents reviews, anything you want to see on the channel. Let me know, and we'll get it done. We'll get her done, buddy. We'll get her done because I'm trying to do all the videos that you guys want, make you guys happy, get them views up, and make me happy at the same time. Help each other out, you know? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know any cars that I missed because there are a lot of underrated rally cars. And das vidania. Have a nice night.